Hey, True Seekers, welcome back. Zach here. The 111th World Series has come to a conclusion. The Kansas City Royals have defeated the New York Mets in the 111th World Series. During spring training, I predicted that the Mets would be in the World Series and would win it. That prediction was halfway correct. I have figured out what the mistake was, and I want to share that with you in this video. The Royals won because of their connection to the royal family. I have done a lot of work on the royal family in the past year. I've talked about what a big year 2015 was for them. In this regard, it's no surprise that they won the 111th World Series. The head of the royal family is Queen Elizabeth, who was born on April 21st, the 111th day of the year. I have a lot of interesting information to share with you, including how the game was predetermined from the get when the national anthem was sung. All right, Truth Seeker, all those details and more coming. Let's begin with this graphic that was on the front page of ESPN before the game began, showing the starting pitchers Volquez versus Matt Harvey. This is the same pitching matchup for Game 1 of the World Series. Remember, in Game 1, it was announced that Volquez's father died at age 63, just minutes before the game began. What's interesting about 63 is it's the reflection of 36. Also, Royals in Pythagorean gematria sums to 36. Notice the graphic that ESPN had up was a link to a video running a minute 47 in length. World Series in gematria sums to 147. I have hundreds of blog posts on the blog you're looking at showing how ESPN codes their headlines with numbers that are relevant to the event they are showcasing. The starting pitcher, Edinson Volquez, his name in Pythagorean gematria sums to 72. The Royals would win the World Series with him starting 7 runs to 2. 7-2, a lot like his name, 72. That name Volquez again has gematria of 118, the number for death in Jewish gematria. His father would die moments before Game 1 of the World Series. The pitcher who would close out Game 1 was Chris Young, who lost his father exactly 30 days earlier. The starting and ending pitcher of Game 1, both of them lost their fathers in close proximity to the World Series. This is what goes on in these big sports events, True Seeker. They are run by sick people, people who sacrifice human lives for their rituals, which is what these sports events are. Predetermined, rigged rituals, coded with occult numerology. The world needs to wake up to it. His birthday, July 3rd, 1983. Notice the numerology of 112. The 5th game of the World Series would begin November 1st, 11-1 for the 111th World Series. It would end in the early hour of November 2nd, a lot like his birth numerology. He also has a birth number connected to 93, a very important number in New York. The most important numbers in New York are 39, 42, 93, 111. He faced Matt Harvey, known as the Dark Knight. Notice there are a number of interesting things about Matt Harvey's numbers. What's most interesting is his life lesson number of 57. World Series equals 57, Mets equals 57, Shea Stadium equals 57. Very important number in baseball. Matt Harvey has the 57 life lesson number. The name Matt also has gematria of 54, like the word baseball. Within his other birth numbers, some very interesting ones stand out. 39, one of those important New York numbers. Also, 119, a fateful number in New York, connected to the date of September 11th. Before the game, there was this article, Will He Rise? And let me show you why that's so funny, Truth Seeker. Will He Rise has a gematria of 57 and 66, two numbers connected to World Series. Last year, San Francisco won the World Series 66 days after the worst earthquake since the earthquake that took place in the '89 World Series between New York and Oakland? Will he rise, Truth Seeker? That's what ESPN asked us. Yesterday's date numerology, the date they lost on. Some very interesting numbers. The final game was in the 11th state, New York, on the first day of the 11th month, on a date with 11 numerology. It was also a date with 47 numerology. Remember, in game one, Harvey's 47th pitch, after that, the Fox News truck blacked out, causing a delay in the game. This reminded of Super Bowl 47, which had the 33-minute blackout. Of course, Matt Harvey wears the number 33. It was also a date yesterday with 27 numerology, an important number to baseball. MLB equals 27. The Yankees in New York have 27 World Series wins. Royals in Pythagorean gematria equals 27, with the S exception 36, like the number Volquez wears. In the beginning of the game, they showed these troops in Afghanistan at Bagram Airfield. The reason they showed Bagram, Truth Seeker, is because of its gematria of 42. Again, a very important number in New York. NYC equals 42. New equals 42. So often in sports games, when they show a random airfield base or military base, it has the gematria that corresponds to the game. This is how hard things are rigged by the numbers. This is how the powers that be run it. And remember, the reason we get these sports games is to distract us from the realities of the day. So we go on living our lives like clueless fools, not tuned into the things that are important. And by living this way, we end up making foolish mistakes, such as joining the military. Nobody in the history of this world has ever joined the military as an intelligent decision, because that would be impossible. The military serves one gang. It is the gang of these evil, Zionist, Masonic assholes who believe in divide and conquer and ruling through tyranny. Anybody in the military, that's who they've signed up for, and nobody else. All that empty rhetoric about soldiers dying for people's freedom, all it is empty rhetoric. Nobody's ever died for anybody's freedom. Every soldier helps enslave us all. Moving on, during the game, they showed this. 14 teams to lose previous year's World Series won next year's World Series. Well, the Royals lost last year to the Giants. Remember, Kansas City equals 1-2-2, San Francisco equals 1-2-2. Anyhow, the Royals now became the 15th team to do this in the year 2015. Not a coincidence. And with regards to the Oakland Athletics being brought up, it reminds of last year's World Series, where, again, the Giants won 66 days after the worst earthquake in San Francisco since the '89 World Series. The triangulation of how all of these things are interconnected. Matt Harvey at the end of the 7th inning had some interesting stats. He had thrown 93 pitches, one of these very important numbers in New York. He'd pitched 7 innings with 4 hits, 1 walk, 9 Ks. Dark Knight Rises, the phrase, has gematria of 74. Matt Harvey wears 33 and he had 93 pitches. This is what I wrote on my blog live before the game was over. I said, with him wearing the number 33, I'm getting a little worried for him, because Jesus equals 74, cross equals 74, Messiah equals 74, crucifix equals 93. Of course, Jesus was nailed to the cross at 33. And Harvey would end up, giving it up in this game by the numbers. So, here's what happened in the 9th inning, Truth Seeker. Eric Hosmer stepped up to the plate, and they showed his batting average was 111, and I thought, 111 in the 111th World Series? Then guess what happened? On his 111th pitch, Matt Harvey, to Hosmer, Hosmer knocked in the first run of the game, making the score 1-2. Then Hosmer would score, tying it up. In extra innings, they would end up winning 7-2. Look at this, Truth Seeker. Hosmer has been the star for Kansas City throughout the series. KC, K's the 11th letter, C's the third. KC 113. the name Eric Hosmer, 113. Eric Hosmer, the small way, is 59, just like Kansas City Royals. Talked about that in other videos. This guy has all the numbers of the team. He wears the number 35. Eric equals 35. Just before Harvey gave that up, they'd put up this stat about how the last player to do what he had done or was doing had done it in the year 93. These important numbers to New York. He closed out the 8th inning with 9 pitches, closing it out with 102 pitches. A fateful number in New York. The 9/11 attacks lasted 102 minutes. They were blamed on Al Qaeda, that has gematria of 102. So in the end, the Royals would win it 7-2. Some errors by the Mets killed them again. Here's everything that stands out about the score 7-2. It's the World Series. The word world has gematria of 72. The starting pitcher, Edinson Volquez, has name gematria of 72. 35 plus 37 equals 72. The man who sung the national anthem before Game 5 was a 47-year-old, this number they love, Frank Pizarro. Frank Pizarro equals 72, Truth Seeker. The game finished 7-2. The stats on the game were 10 hits for the Royals, 4 hits for the Mets, 7-2. 10-4 reminds me of 104, the number of floors in One World Trade Center, which has gematria of 93. And in the Bible, the story of Babel, the tower, the people of the world being separated into 72 languages. I just saw that connection. It could be a coincidence, but these people who rig sports, who rig this world, they steal so many of their numbers from biblical texts, including the Bible and Quran. The story of Babel is in both. Possible coincidence, possibly not, you know. They love to code history, spirituality, significant events into their monumental rituals, such as the World Series, Super Bowl, etc. Both teams had 11 strikeouts, which did not surprise at all on the first day of the 11th month, the date with 11 numerology. I knew for a fact, I said it in an earlier video, that Colon was going to be the final pitcher for the Mets, whether they won or lose. I just saw that coming. He's 42 years old. 42 is an important number in New York. When you write out 42, it sums to 142, just like the name Bartolo Colon sums to 142. Colon was the final pitcher for the New York Mets of the 111th World Series. The losing pitcher was A. Reed. The way he's listed on the report has gematria of 33. So often pitchers with the 33 names give up the losses. That is an ongoing theme I've been documenting for 2 years. He was credited with the loss in Game 5. The game began with Granderson hitting the third pitch for a home run. Granderson wears the number 3. What else was comical is when Cespedes, who was in his 93rd day of being a Met yesterday, he got up to the plate with bases loaded, no outs, and embarrassed himself as he has done all World Series. It really does seem that Cespedes was Agent Zero. Game 1, he let the fly ball to center field fall for a hit that became an in-the-park home run. In the Park home run has gematria of 88. That was literally Cespedes' 88th day of being a New York Met. You talk about by the numbers, Truth Seeker. By the numbers, it was this World Series. Again, 111th World Series, New York equals 111. I really think that the people who run the sports leagues are major assholes, and they love breaking people's hearts. When you think about it, by the end of every sports season, the majority of fans have negative feelings because the majority of their teams lost. Only one team gets to win in the end. It's like the person who made the board game Monopoly. What they wanted to show is that in capitalism, there's more losers than winners. And we are reminded of that with each sports season.